It's your boy, Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Get Thunder. So, uh, I wanted to talk about this story, like, not, you know, yesterday, but I will say this. Daniel Pantaleo, I believe that's what his name is, the former NYPD cop who apparently who was involved with the chokehold of Eric Garner, recently just just got the boot from the police department, and and the way how I see it is this, because if you look at it, Mr. Garner was basically committing a crime to begin with, especially at the point when he was confronted by the police officers did. Um, he did, however, he did indeed resist arrest, telling the officers to leave me alone. And this was before the officers, put the chokehold in there, conducted that particular chokehold, so to speak. So, now, I mean, I will say this, Mr. Pantaleo was in the wrong, but at the same time, Mr. Garner shouldn't have committed a crime. Shouldn't have committed the crime in the first place, especially when he was illegally selling loose squares 5 years ago. You know, but here's the killer. It wasn't necessarily the chokehold that rendered him lifeless. Sure, Gardner did say that I can't breathe, like, several times. Uh, However, I will say this. The biggest problem, the biggest factor that Mr. Garner, that resulted in Mr. Garner's death was, basically he had contributing health problems. Obviously, Mr. Garner was, morbidly obese, for crying out loud. So evidently, and basically, if you're morbidly obese, you're going to end up having health problems like, strokes and, heart attacks and what have you. And that's if you don't necessarily take care of yourself. So, but yeah, that was literally what actually happened with Mr. Garner. Because anybody could survive in a Nelson, okay? All right. I've been put in a Nelson before, a Nelson chokehold. But but at the same time, looking at this crime, looking at this situation from 5 years ago, it was really touchy. So, it's really touchy. So, especially since the police department had outlawed the chokehold situation altogether. So now, now, of course, the Garner family is going to get justice, blah blah blah, and supposedly getting justice out of this, but me personally, I'm not looking at it, as a form of, I'm not looking at it. I'm not trying to take the Garner family side. Neither am I trying to be against Pan, Pantaleo, Daniel Pantaleo, however you pronounce his name. You know, I'm trying to look. I'm literally looking at this story in a fair and balanced manner. I mean, yeah, the chokehold was pretty unnecessary, and um, it was literally outlawed then. But at the same time, Garner should not have committed the crime. Or the crimes to begin with, because loitering is a crime. Selling selling loose cigs. Loose squares is also. Loose squares illegally is also a crime. Especially on public property, and not and the third of all, when he was confronted by the police, he swayed at the officer, telling the officer leave him alone. Um, um, and which is an act of resisting arrest. Now, that's literally what I have to say about this anyway. What are your thoughts, and what are your comments on this? As of now, this is Chuck Johnson, a.k.a. Kid Thunder. I am signing off.